we had that conversation because I knew the kind of mother I wanted to be,
Okay.
and I wanted to make sure that my ambitions and my career do not hinder me from being that kind of mother.
Okay.
I wanted to be a present mother, or let me say, I want to be a present mother, but I also want to be a boss chick, and I don't see why I should. I'm not ready to like totally compromise on each of them.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Dairy Mom podcast. My name is Diana Addae. I am the founder of the Dairy Mom. We inspire, educate, and empower mothers who may be struggling to reclaim their dreams or who may have temporarily set aside their ambitions due to the demands of motherhood. On the Dairy Mom podcast, we bring you powerful stories from audacious mothers around the world who defy societal expectations and harness their strength to juggle both roles of motherhood and the pursuit of their personal and professional ambitions successfully. On today's podcast, I'm going to be speaking to our special guest. She's all the way from the United States of America. Her name is Dr. Vanessa Morgan Nai. Dr. Vanessa holds a Doctor of Philosophy and 2 master's degrees from Ohio University, along with a bachelor's degree in French from Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Ghana, West Africa. Fluent in English, French, and 3 Ghanaian languages, she's also a dedicated advocate for sickle cell awareness through her blog, where she shares personal insights and educational resources. She is a wife and a mother of 2 children. So if you are inspired already, grab your pens and notebooks and join me as I speak to our special guest. Hello, Dr. Vanessa. Welcome to the Dairy Mom podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. Okay. So for today's conversation, we are going to have you walk us through your motherhood journey, what motherhood has been like for you, and how you've been able to have success in juggling the roles of motherhood and the pursuit of your ambitions. And we are going to make this as conversational as possible. So let's get started. Kindly walk us through a little bit about your background, what it was like growing up, what your views on motherhood were as a young girl, and growing up, what inspired you to become a mother.
Very interesting question, because then sometimes we go through life and we observe stuff and we don't know we're taking it all in. But if I'm thinking about my background, I grew up in a family of 4. It's me, my brother, and my parents, of course. And as I'm thinking about it right now, I see that my mother worked from home, right? So she was a constant source of support at home for us.
Okay.
I come back from school, she's there, and she was doing her own work at home. So because of that, I was able to see her navigate her own work as the boss and figure out her work life, and then also make sure that we are catered to, like always taking care of us. So I saw my mother in a way, I won't even say like a superwoman, but she was handling her everything, really. She was taking care of everything that needed to take off. I call her they have a Ghana word for it, but then she's the one who had shown me really that she could do anything and everything. If I knew that I wanted something to be done, I knew that if I went to my mother, it would happen.
Wow.
Right? So she was a constant, she's a force, I would say that. My mother is a force.
Your mother's
she's there 24/7. She will fight for you. She will, and so today she's still the same. So around her, I saw that this was a woman who knew what she wanted in her life, and she worked relentlessly to get it for herself and for her children. And some of the things that it even come into my mind, like growing up, my mother would drive us to school all around and all of those kind of things. But then as I grew up, I began to realize that not a lot of women in Ghana were driving, right?
Yes.
I think the women that I knew,
yes,
they didn't drive, but my mother was driving.
Wow.
So it was a norm for me to see certain things. So
Right.
it took me a little aback when I saw that, it was a little different for other people. So my mother kind of defied some of the expectations that you probably think a woman would do, because she was in it. She was doing her thing, making sure that we were okay, making sure that her home was secured, and she still does it till today. So
Wow,
yeah.
wow, wow. And to put things into a better context, I am from the same country as Dr. Vanessa. So so
Yeah.
I really understand it when she mentioned some of the things like women weren't driving. It wasn't really common, yeah, at the time. But your mother was doing it, and that was like I would say she automatically became a role model for you, at
Yeah.
the time growing up. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
She
that's
showed me what was normal. For her, that was a normal thing.
okay.
So if I see someone else who was doing it, I wasn't surprised because like isn't this something that women do?
Right.
Right? If somebody wasn't doing, then I had to pause and be like, oh, okay, it's a little different here.
Right,
Right?
right, right, right. That's amazing. And so, would you say, um, looking at how your mother raised you and looking at how much of a force she was for you, would you say that inspired you to become a mother, or where did you get your inspiration to becoming a mother from?
I would say from the women around me, definitely my mother, my
Right.
grandmother as well, who is resting right now. One of my grandmothers, I would say, the one I was closer to. She also was like a constant force in our lives as well. So from her, I would say from well, I'm a recent mother, so I'll also say from like, the internet, social media, all of those things. But really, I was inspired because I wanted to see what a mini me would look like or what a mini me would be like. And I'm telling you, I am seeing it. I am seeing it. But it was also, I would say that's what inspired me. But then also, I think the conversation is like, when we get married or if you don't even get married, I think in a societal norm, we always think that from this stage to the next stage to the next stage, are we ever allowed to think that why want kids? Like,
Exactly.
how dare you even ask such a question, right? So it's like it's supposed to be an automatic thing. Like, okay, I got married, the next thing is I should
I
have
had
kids.
to have kids.
So I'm like, was I even inspired or I was just following the normal, route of what I'm supposed to follow?
Suppose this is what you're supposed to do. Like
Right?
everybody does it.
Yeah, everybody does it. So it's like if you don't do it, then it becomes an issue. Like, so I was like, sometimes I have to sit down, like, so did you really want to have kids? I think sometimes the question you should ask, did you really want to
Did you
have kids?
really want
Or
to?
you really just
Followed.
followed what they said you are supposed to do? Right? So, but yeah,
That's
I
very
guess
funny.
that, yeah, I guess like that would, so I can't even answer if it was an inspiration or it was, ticking a box. So, but we're here now
We
and
are
I'm
here
enjoying
now.
it.
I remember growing up, my mother would tell me if I didn't think I wanted to have a baby. And yeah, and I told my mother I don't want to have a kid. And then she was like, if you don't want to have a kid, then make sure you don't get married. Because if if you're thinking about marriage, then you must think about wanting to.
Right, right. In our society, like that is what
That
we're
that
taught.
is
So
what
it's
we
sometimes we're
do.
like
That's
we
what
have to
we do.
question some of these things. Like I feel like we've moved past those things. So I guess like we're changing, or are we? I don't know. I guess
Exactly.
I am evolving and
Yeah,
changing and
evolving.
continuing
Yeah, and
on.
then it's
Yeah.
about time we started questioning some of the societal norms. Do we really want this? Are we doing this for ourselves, or we're just following? That's a great one. So let's come to like life before motherhood. What was it like? You've grown up, you've seen all these things that your mother was doing. You've seen other mothers in your family, and whether or not it was you were following the norm or you were inspired, you were still there, but now you started career, and how was it like before motherhood came into the picture?
Okay. So before motherhood, like most of my life has been in academia,
Okay, yeah.
pursuing my degrees. So before motherhood, I was really into school, trying to get, through school as quickly as I can. One thing I will say was I used to think like, um, let me get through these degrees quickly before I become a mother. I knew I was going to become a mother. Like in my head, I'm like, it's going to happen. I don't know when.
It's gonna
I don't
happen,
know when, but
right?
I knew it would happen. So let me get through some of the things I need to get through while I have the time. And then if that motherhood comes into place, at least I would have certain things in place already. So I was really focused on acquiring, like furthering my education. So it was really me pursuing my education and then the career in which I wanted to go into or the route I wanted to take. And and exploring those options and seeing where do I want to be? Who does Vanessa want to become? And how do I get myself there?
There. Okay. So that was the okay. So more like you were just pursuing your ambitions. You were just and then you knew that at some point motherhood was going to come in. But before that, let me do my thing. Let me go for it. And then motherhood now comes in. So take us through that journey when you now became a mother from pregnancy or all that. Take us through a little bit of that.
Okay, was an interesting one. So for me, at least, the journey happened like, I'd been married for about 4 years now, and I was now, we had gotten pregnant now, so I was elated, excited, all of those kind of things. The pregnancy journey, I was like, this is not too bad. To be honest, let me not be an ungrateful person. It wasn't a very bad experience. Was it uncomfortable? Yes. Some of the things that your body will go through and all of those things, I did not enjoy it in particular. Like, I did not. But it was exciting as knowing that a human was growing in me.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, as we're going through this pregnancy journey, everything was going well. Getting to my third trimester, I started having like health issues,
Mm.
right? Because I do have a chronic illness, right, which is sickle cell anemia. So I started getting a crisis and all those things that were
Mm.
associated with sickle cell and pregnancy. So that became a little rough patch for me. But then I went through that, and then I had my baby. And then after I had my baby, I was like, I should have done this earlier. Like,
Oh.
I really, really enjoyed it. Not the pregnancy part, the baby part. I should have done this earlier. And I knew when I used to say that, my mother look, I'm like, uh-huh. And when I told you to have it earlier, you didn't mind. I'm like, please calm down. Calm down. According to my own timeline, please.
Ghanaian
But
mothers.
yeah, I know, right? But then the pregnancy itself was uncomfortable, but then the end was a little more challenging. The labor and delivery was a little more challenging as well, just because of how long it took for her to come. But then outside of that, and the same thing happened with my second child as well. It was like their trimester, as soon as I got there, getting to the end, I started having sickle cell issues again. So I had to actually take him out earlier than my early date. So I set an early date for him to come.
Okay.
And then I took him out even earlier than that date because I was like, look, I can't go through all of this pain and also be carrying pregnancy. And it was even probably going to affect him as well. So the doctors were like, let's take him out. And I was like, yes, please, I'm ready. It was already ripe. Let's take him out, please, quickly. So that's what I have to do that one.
He
And then the
was
process,
already right.
oh, he was ripe. And he was like 38 weeks. I'm like, please, I'm ready.
Okay.
So the first one, I had an induction. The second one, I had a C-section. So I've had like both of them through a vaginal birth C-section. I did
Jesus.
each of them, and then they took him out, and it's been good ever since.
That was,
Challenging.
I mean, 38 weeks, like he was, we are almost there. So that's, you
The
did
first one was
well.
39. So I was like, what am I waiting for? Please, let's move on.
That's good. So from the time the babies, now you have two kids. So let's go to like the first pregnancy, and then the child came in. How did you navigate? Having to go back to your lifestyle before pregnancy, because you had mentioned you were pursuing your degrees and all that, and then now pregnancy came in. The challenges associated with health issues towards the final trimester, and then the baby is here, and I'm sure, like you described, it was your mini me, and she's so adorable.
Thank you.
I see her, she's so adorable,
She
and
has an
but
attitude now. Like now, you can't talk to her anyhow.
I can imagine. Yeah, they get to that stage where you are like, okay, they want what they want, and you can't. So, how did you go back to your lifestyle pre-pregnancy? How did you find yourself trying to get back to work, trying to juggle work and then raising the child, even before the second one came in?
Okay. So, would you even say that I went back to my life before? I don't think I did. I think I just went into a different phase of my life.
Okay.
And I honestly, I think I had to accept that I have moved on from that phase of life. Like I used to be like, before I had this child, I could do this, I could get up and be spontaneous and do all of that. I'm like, look, let's go here. We are going up. We're going now. I have to think of a diaper bag. Like, is how many diapers are inside? Like all of those things. And it took me a moment. I had to mourn that part of my life.
Okay.
like that phase is gone, and embrace the new phase in which I'm in.
Okay.
Right. So for me, also when it came to work, I went back into work seamlessly, I would say,
Okay.
because like I had at least for my first child, I had support for the first 6 months.
Okay.
Like and my mother was here, so it was very like easy going support to help me. And then when she left, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's just both of us now. Like we have to raise this human, okay, and make sure that nothing happens to this human. So with that, it was just an adjustment of realizing that now I had to think about somebody else and think about all their needs because they cannot do this on their own. And then when they came to work, I had good colleagues, I had a good boss, and they understood. They were also mothers, so they understood that okay, now that I'm coming back into work, I would need some time to adjust, and my place would look different. Because I remember before I had a child, I told one of my bosses, I'm like, look, I don't have any children right now. If you want me to travel for work, I'm here to travel. When I have kids, I'm not going. Like I will not be able to go to all of them that you like for me to go. I will not be able to do all of these things. And we had that conversation because I knew the kind of mother I wanted to be.
Okay.
And I wanted to make sure that my ambitions and my career do not hinder me from being that kind of mother.
Okay.
I wanted to be a present mother. Or let me say, I want to be a present mother, but I also want to be a boss chick. And I don't see why I should. I'm not ready to like totally compromise on each of them. So I have to be able to figure out which career path I want to take that aligns with how I want to be a mother as well. So I made adjustments at work. Like I used to go for evening events. Some of them I would still do it because I have a partner who's very supportive and will take care of the child. But then some of them I have to take a break and be like, I cannot do this right now because
Okay.
I also have a family and a child I need to go and take care of. And the good thing is that it didn't take away from my credibility or the work that I had done with my team because they knew that if it comes to the work, I would do it and I'll
Yeah.
do it well.
Yeah.
My ambitions, I'm very passionate about it. I'll continue to pursue those, but then I don't want it to also take away from me being the mother that I want to be. So, and I think I was in school too. So I was like, I was very strategic with school. Like I think I just started my PhD before I had a child. I started my PhD, and I told my husband, you know what? I'm going to take all the difficult classes now before I get pregnant. So when I get pregnant, I'll take easier classes and smooth through it. So literally, my first semester, I was taking my stats class, and I would leave and go and do like stats from like, me and stats were not like that. So I had a group a group that we used to meet regularly and we would stay there for hours. But I didn't have any child, so it was okay for me to just go and get the work done. So by the time I finished those classes that would take more of my time, that's when I got pregnant. So I was a little strategic with some of my things too. I would calculate like because I knew what was going to happen, I just didn't know when.
When?
So I was just preparing myself so when it does happen, I've put certain things in place already.
So I think I have picked up some key learnings from this very short story you've told me. Number one, being very strategic in your planning. So if you are that kind of mother who wants to be present for your child, but at the same time you also have your ambitions that you do not want to compromise, you have to be very strategic. You have to plan ahead of time. Like you knew this was going to happen ahead of time. And so even in pursuing a PhD, which is like very, very, very like superb on your part, and congratulations. And you have two master's degree already. And it's like you have all the degrees in the world.
I'm done, I promise.
So you wanting to pursue a PhD, and at the same time you knowing that motherhood was going to come, some way somehow along the way. You proactively planned ahead, and you were strategic with the classes that you were even taking. And then when the baby came in, you had to sort of negotiate with your employers at work that hey, I'm a mom now, ABCD. Before I became a mother, I could go anywhere you wanted me to go, but now that I'm a mother, I can't go anywhere. Like I can go to every place that you want me to go because I'm tied down, but I'm going to do what I have to do, and I'm going to take up some of the challenges. So it's about negotiation and trying to find that like a middle ground for everything. That's really really superb. Was there a particular time when you would say that okay, since motherhood came in, you your ambitions were threatened, um, based on the challenges, because now you had to arrange for daycare, you had to arrange for this, you had to arrange for that. and even in the presence of a partner and your mom, would you say as an individual that okay, motherhood at some point threatened your ambitions?
Honestly, I cannot say that it has threatened my ambitions in any way.
Okay.
I will say that at a point it delayed a little bit of what I wanted to do,
Okay.
because I was, and all of these things I'm saying is within my context. Like, it will look different from
For
somebody else.
somebody,
I know it will look
exactly.
like, oh, I'm negotiating with my boss, and not every boss is going to do that. So
Exactly.
within my context, right? So I know that I wanted to finish with my PhD earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was ready to be done, and then
Mm-hmm.
I found out that I was pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
and then I realized that if I was going to finish, defend, do my graduation, all of those things, I was literally the graduation literally would have been the day after I was supposed to have my child,
Oh, okay.
right?
Okay.
So I was like, there's no way I can finish this degree within this time frame, because before you can actually even participate in the graduation, you should have probably defended like a month or two in advance,
Two.
which means I should have submitted my work maybe a month before. And I was like, who is going to be doing that thing? No. So I delayed that, and I took my time instead. So I put that on hold, and I was a little disappointed, but I was like, it's okay, everything works out for my good.
Mm-hmm.
So I delayed that, and then I just took my time, and then I was able to write. So I did what I had, but then I was intentional again. I was like, okay, since I'm not going to graduate in December or finish in December, then I'll make sure that I finish writing my entire dissertation before my child is born.
Okay.
Because I don't know how I'm going to be writing and then be breastfeeding a newborn, waking up 3, 4 times at night,
At
plus
night.
a toddler who has needs. How am I going to combine all of those things? So I said I have to finish writing the full thing, because I'd started, but I have to finish by, what was it? I gave myself by November I should be done, so I can send it to my professor and they will look at it. And God being so good, I use an hour a day and I finished my dissertation, and then I submitted, and then I had my baby. So like when it happened, because of all the things that happened with my health, everything became unpredictable. But then because I'd finished, I wasn't too worried, because I'd kind of finished, was just left with a few finishing touches. And then when I came back, school resumed in January. Then I gave it to my professor. I'm like, okay, this is it. And I scheduled my defense February, defended in February, and then I
Wow.
finished.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. You are a strategic planner.
I
It,
try.
you,
Not always the best.
I try. No, but I think you've given us some very good insight into what it takes to be able to juggle the roles. It's about planning, like you knowing that this is what I have ahead of me. This is what I want to do. So at that point now you were before you had your first child, you were now going into your PhD. Now in your PhD you're about to finish your PhD, and then the second child is in. Then again you have to be strategic, like okay, if the child comes, I'm not going to be able to do all these things. So
Mhm.
so let me dedicate time, like maybe 1 hour every day to
Yeah.
towards this. And you were very focused and you did what you had to do. And then you had, so that also means, if I got it right, you had to make certain sacrifices, like let's say if you were going, tell us a little bit more about that, because it takes a lot of discipline to say that I'm blocking this time off of my calendar to focus on this. Tell us a little bit more about how you manage to stay disciplined to your goals.
I will say that for me, I think I'd become tired of going to school and working on this thing. I told myself I do not have any more energy in me to go another semester doing this. So by fire by force, this has to be done. So I also realized that now I'm working. When I come back from work, I'm so tired. And then when I come back, I want to tune off and give all my attention to my family. I don't want to carry work home. So I don't have the time to write as well. And I'm also an early sleeper. Like, you will not catch me at 11 p.m. doing homework. That's not possible. My body just shuts down by 9 p.m. Like, by 9 p.m., if I'm even sometimes earlier, when I'm putting the children to sleep, I even sleep and I'll leave them. Right. So I knew that after work, I can't do it. But then I can't wake up early. So I used to wake up very early, maybe around maybe 4:30, do my own, like, devotion, my own process of whatever gets me into the day. Then between 5 to 6 p.m., that was the only time I would write. If it was one page, I would get one page. If it was one line, I would get one line. If it was analyzing my data, I would use one. That period, 5 to 6 a.m. That's all I did. At 6 a.m., as soon as it's 6 a.m., I wake up, I start getting ready for work, getting myself ready. I go into work from my 8 to 5. When I come back, I'm too tired to do anything. And then the only time I did stuff after work was when what was it? I was interviewing participants. But those were like 1 hour thing short. So I had to find times in between. And those times I'll say to my partner, today I have interviews. Please hold this child for like, this time frame, and then I'm gone.
The conversation is getting very interesting, but we'll have to go on a break. I want to thank you so much for staying with us throughout the first part of today's story. I hope you're learning something already from Dr. Vanessa Morgan. In our next episode, episode 4, we'll bring you the second part of her story. We'll delve deeper into her life as a mother, a career woman in academia, and a sickle cell advocate. If you are yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel, please do so by hitting the subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend about the Dairy Mom podcast. If you're yet to follow us on Facebook, please do so at the Dairy Mom. On Instagram, I am _ the Dairy Mom. On TikTok, the Dairy Mom, and on LinkedIn, the Dairy Mom. Thank you so much for staying with us up until this point. And as I wrap up my interview, my question to you is, what is your hashtag, the Dairy Mom story? I know you have a story to tell. What is your hashtag, the Dairy Mom story? Join me and let's do this together. My name is Addae, and I am the Dairy Mom.